Hello, everybody. Welcome on into the WILLY podcast. This is John Arrivo. I'm here with my boy, Nick Gosson, and we're going to chat a little bit today about entrepreneurship, Nick's ginger juice obsession, and a healthy obsession, by the way, and a little bit of marketing, advertising on the web, which is what Nick comes from. He's a web professional, and so I seek his counsel today on many things. Nick, welcome on in.
Good to see you, John.
You
Thanks
too.
for having me.
And thanks for being a great customer.
I appreciate it.
Long-standing customer. How many years do you think?
Well, since you opened up, I've been a customer of yours, so almost 3 years.
Nice.
And I think before that is when I started to tap into my obsession, if you will, to ginger.
Yes. Let's talk about that real quick. You get 32 ounces of ginger every week. Ginger's the spiciest thing that we have for sure. Out of all the raw juice, what is it that draws you to the ginger, and what makes you continue to want that ginger every single week?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say I stumbled onto ginger.
Okay.
So as probably many people, when you go to an Asian restaurant, you know, they often have this sliced ginger on some of the dishes. And I would always eat that with keeping in mind that it was good for digestion. There were some, health benefits to it, but it was all part of that experience. I did it. I enjoyed it. And then when I would go to a health food store, and very rarely would anybody have it, there would be fresh shots. And I thought, okay, well, let me get something good because I probably had too much to drink the night before.
Okay.
How can I flush the system out and replace the toxins with something better, justify that I live a healthy lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
And slowly, I ended up gravitating towards those shots that had ginger in it.
Nice.
And then when you came about and you opened up your store,
Yep.
I started getting your only ginger shots.
Yeah.
And for some reason, and I like spicy foods, but to me, the ginger, although does have somewhat of a kick for me, it doesn't burn my throat. It doesn't hurt my esophagus or, my stomach when it lands. It has a very different effect on me. It literally gives me an immediate jolt of energy. It almost like I feel it waking up my body, my organs. They start to come alive and all the synapses start firing. And it feels like my day started. So, I have your ginger literally every morning. The first thing I put in my mouth, aside from brushing my teeth, is ginger. And I probably have, I would say 4 to 6 ounces per day until I run out. I usually try to time it out that I'm swigging through it for the week, where I can have my last dose Thursday morning, and then I know you drop more off Thursday late morning, so I'm covered, and then I rinse and repeat. But I will tell you that when I am taking my ginger religiously, meaning we're not on vacation or, we're not staying somewhere because of a home project, I don't get sick. I typically have a strong immune system, but I do believe very much, and not placebo, I really believe the ginger gives me some additional antibodies and keeps me clean and my immune system up at a higher level than it would without it.
Nice. Okay. So recently you transitioned from working in a corporate world to opening up your own practice in internet advertising and marketing, essentially, correct?
There's two parts. There's a legal aspect to it, which we don't have to get into today. And then there's the online marketing, which is what you and I have discussed.
Yeah.
Having been in the corporate world, for, I would say 20 years. And before that, I was a partner in a small business. But most of my professional career has been in the corporate space. And there are a variety of reasons why people love and don't love the corporate environment. I'll say personally for me, I find it hard to follow a flag that I don't believe in. I don't like when people are spin facts.
Right.
I only like truthfulness, and I always want to be straight to my clients. it was rough waters for me to navigate that in the corporate space, some years more than others.
Me too.
And when you run your own ship, there's core values that you always are projecting in everything that you touch, everything that you say, who you interact with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in working with you, that you have a high bar of how you want your clients not only to appreciate the products that you bring to the table, but how they feel when they come to your store.
Correct.
And, and your online services as well. You always say white glove, you always say experience, you always say, mindfulness, you always have these things that you're channeling. And those are, some of the same values and qualities that I want to bring to the table. So when we talk about, why do we want to be in the online marketing business? Everything is moving online.
Has moved online.
Yeah, right. It's accessibility, right?
For sure.
Whether it's educational and information, whether it's services, whether it's products, we're giving access to. And I feel that having such a great platform to deliver products or services, I like being a part of that.
Yeah.
Our team does. My partners love that. So we have like-minded people. There's a famous book written by Jim Collins called Good to Great. And one of the great takeaways I had from that book are two things. One is getting the right people on the bus. So if you bring the right-minded, right valued, right passionate people on the bus that thrive for greatness, that thrive for making things better, that really are willing to put the work in, and because they want to be the best at what they do.
Yes.
You put all those people together, great things are going to happen.
True.
In the corporate space, it's not always that. It is, rapidly elevating somebody's position because you need to fill those seats. It is, putting customer service people in a position where they don't have experience to actually be customer service people. And a variety of examples. So we wanted to build a company of like-minded passion, mission statement, determination, dedication, and wanting to be very white glove oriented and saying, I want to build a business where I'm going to have residual partnerships in my dealings with people for many years.
Sure.
I don't want to win one campaign, one project, one deal. That means that's not important to me.
Yep.
That's going to happen just organically because sometimes a business may want to, say, hey, we want to retain your services. We're starting a new company and it fails, where many companies do on the onset. But we want to be a part of everything that the businesses do. We feel like a true partner. So we're vested in their success.
Yep.
And to me, that's above and beyond revenue and profitability. Although we can't stay in business unless we are profitable.
Correct.
But what if they were profitable too? How great would that feel?
Sure.
And so we appreciate that.
And when you did your transition over to your own business, what's your greatest piece of advice so far that you've obtained from doing it, and something that you would say, this was the most important thing that happened in that moment? Can you pinpoint it?
I don't know if there's one thing, but I will say a common denominator is be prepared for a lot of work.
Yeah.
And as much work as you need to put into it, even if you can align those tasks, there's going to be a lot of unknowns that go along with that you can't get frustrated about. It's, in some instances, a beautiful experience where you get to learn what it really takes to be a business owner and start something from scratch.
Yeah.
Now, as much as our business, was from scratch, I've got partners that are very seasoned.
Yeah.
We've got alliances with, other companies that are very successful, some domestic, some global, that are very good at what they do. But, we still need to build a website. We still needed to have our collateral, our contracts. There's no IT person.
Sure.
It's in place. Your IT until you get people that are able to do that work for you. So there's a wonderful admiration that I carry for every business owner, regardless of what your business is, because nobody knows what happens or what has to happen behind closed doors for you to open your doors,
I can agree.
whether they be virtually or brick and mortar.
I always think about it like this. There is a little bit of naivete, is that how you say it? That you have to have as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You have to have this ability to walk into rooms and walk into spaces and understand portions of your business that you don't know anything about, but they have to be worked on. And so it's all about the unknown. You're not going to know so much about your business until you get started. It's the starting point that matters the most. It's like getting moving, getting going. And then there's going to be all kinds of things that you're going to find out that you're like, oh, I didn't think about that when I was thinking I wanted to start this business. I mean, I could think of a million things probably because I never started a restaurant before, but I had worked in many restaurants. Okay. So I think that that's a great piece of advice because we're all wanting to, I mean, for the most part, almost everybody wants to have their own business and be able to be their own boss, make their own decisions for themselves, but it comes at a great cost, which is just a ton of more work.
It's a lot more work. And think about, for you, all that you knew you had to do. And then once you start identifying those unknowns that were also critical components to growing a successful business, not only the time that it took, additional time that it took for you to deal with those things, but how you are able to streamline all the other things that need to get done in that same day, right?
Oh.
So it's identifying efficiencies, right?
Yeah.
And when I look back, and I'm sure everybody deals with this in their own way, when I look back, I think about how many days, weeks, or even months I wasted in the sense of I wasn't doing it as efficiently then as I could today.
Sure.
And I think about, okay, what could that mean to me both in time? What could I have done with that extra time,
yes.
right? My family.
Yes.
Slept more.
Yes.
Maybe gone on a trip with them a little bit, something, or just created more business out of it. And so I kicked myself constructively
Yes.
for those things because why didn't I see that before? But I feel like it's baptism by fire in ways.
It is.
Right?
Yes, completely. I always compare it. I can draw the comparisons between having children and starting a business. The comparisons are like so unbelievably paralleled because as parents, we don't know anything about having a kid because you've never done it before. And there's no book.
Right.
That's going to tell you.
They need diapers, they need food, they need to sleep, but there's a lot more.
Oh, yeah. So I got 2 facilities. They're both babies. Both of them. One's 3.5 years old. One's 2 years old or a year and a half. And, they are crawling. And then you start to walk a little bit. And then hopefully you can start running eventually with time and with a lot of delegation to people on your team that are more skilled at you than those things. So now I'm finding, what am I the best at? What am I really good at doing? I'm going to do those things, and I absolutely now have to delegate everything else. Otherwise, that task isn't going to be done as good as it can be done because I'm not doing it correctly.
That's right. Or even if you could do everything perfectly, which doesn't exist,
Nope.
You still don't have the time to do it.
No, that's correct. And with children and with having a family too. That plays into your business.
Yeah.
Because that's another workload.
Yeah. I think about, like for your business, you've got many line items.
Yes.
Right?
Ugh.
All of which contribute to, healthy living, a lifestyle of, putting good things into your body,
Yep.
for your body and mind, which contribute to so many aspects of everybody's day. So kind of you are what you eat phrase,
Mm-hmm.
right? But think about how you've had to refine what are the products that are most accepted by your clientele and how you've evolved your offerings based on their suggestions,
Yep.
recommendations,
Yes.
or right?
Yes. And it's almost the entire time 3.5 years of retail, 8 years in the coffee business, it has been all about listening to the customer. That's what I've probably realized is one of my greatest assets currently, is I quite literally try to talk to all of them, let them tell me what it is that they like and dislike, what they want and don't want, how they want things to look and how they don't want things to look. And that's what I do every time. And then it always works out for me. Every time. I just listen to the customer. So before we close, I really want to, since you're a professional in the web advertising marketing space, I think that everybody should look at their interests, look at what they're good at, what do they like, where do they want to, what industry do they want to work in, and then they should figure out a way to do it online. That's what our entire world is going online. So if you had any advice for somebody that wants to create a web-based business, what's the step one, step two, do you think? What's going to be the most important thing for them to focus on? They got a product, they make something nice out of their garage that could potentially go. What's your advice to them on trying to work in the web space and create something like that?
It's a big question, a great question, a big one. Mm-hmm. I would say if somebody doesn't have a product or service in mind yet, I would just highly suggest channeling passion.
Yes. Something
that you believe in so much, because again, like we talked about, having your own business is not easy. It doesn't mean you don't love it. It's just not easy.
Yeah.
It's taxing in many ways. And it varies for people on what that means. But the bottom line is, if you love what you do and why you're doing it, whatever you need to do to continue the course and move forward and grow and be better is the reason that you're going to continue to have that fuel in the tank.
It's true.
Right? Now, how do you take that next step once you have some of those brainchilds of what are your passions? Even if it's kind of under the same umbrella, I'll give you an example. My wife believes in health, healthy living, healthy lifestyle. She feels it's also a giving back component, because so many of us either choose not to because of inconveniences of doing things differently, perhaps, or because we're not educated. No, we could be doing things differently. What do we put in our body? How do we sleep? What do we eat? What do we drink? When do we do those things, right? To optimize opportunities, to give ourselves that brain fuel, the emotional fuel, all the things that it takes to have a better day and longevity. And for those of us that are family people, we want to be with our family healthy and happy forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that? So she has these thoughts that she is currently in the process of identifying. Is it teaching people how to eat better? Is it having a e-commerce business where she is sending people healthy foods or drinks or menus or something? So she's trying to whittle that down and identify what that business could look like.
Okay.
And in the same time that she's doing these things, she's also getting ideas. What's online now?
Yeah.
Or what's not online that falls into that could or should be.
Okay.
And made it available to people, right?
For sure.
Because you want to also channel, how can I make this accessible for those that really need it? And that goes into the passion. If it's above and beyond profitability, which again, you can't operate if you're not profitable, right? Unless somebody's just financing your debt, which I can't wait to find that person for me.
Yes.
But what happens then is you're able to find ways to meet those goals that are above the dollars, that helps people. And then interestingly enough, other people have similar passions.
Totally.
Whether they're your financial backers or they're your mentors or where they become strategic partners in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, things start to build this minutia that starts pushing you into the direction that if you're organized, which is difficult in this stage because you're trying to identify a course.
Sure.
But if you're organized, then you start to compartmentalize and start to see that tunnel through all of this white noise and start to slowly build out a business plan of what this could look like. Yep. And then I highly suggest talking to other people that may be in that space or a like space to get their hurdles that they overcame that maybe you can get around sooner than they had to.
That's good advice. And I think what I heard was find out what you're passionate about, of course. What drives you? What makes you interested in a product or a service that you want to sell online? Because we're talking about online. I mean, that's where our business is going. You work in this all the time. I think everybody should be considering doing something online. Okay. And so, but what I also heard was find an area in the market that's not so saturated. So inside your idea or group or area of interest, find out what you're most passionate about, and then actually take a step further, do your research, find out where there's a hole in the market, because that's where you're going to probably be the most profitable.
Profitable and being one of the first or the first. There's two different strategies that are out there. There's many, but two that I'll speak to as an example. There's blue water and red water strategies. Blue water is kind of being that first to market. So it's like the ocean. You're out there on your own, right? And you're creating this market within this environment. The red water strategy is kind of like the sharks are circling, the chums out, they're tearing up fish. You've got to find out how to eat in that environment, right? Where in the blue water, it's just you, and you're kind of shaping that. So there's two different worlds that you may be breaking into, right?
Yep.
If you were to just break it down in simplicity, say, okay, in this sharky market, how can I carve out a niche or be one of them, one or the other, really? Or the blue water is, how can I create something new? Yes. How can I be on the cutting edge of, right? How can I be a SpaceX, for example, in any online business? And I think that those are really important takeaways, and also doing your homework on what's out there, because you don't want to think that you've got the greatest idea in the world.
Correct.
And not have done diligence and then find out that there's a company that does exactly that, but even better than you ever dreamed of.
Yes. And that's where you have to be a little naive as an entrepreneur sometimes, because like me, you just described my journey, which was I have this incredible coffee product that is quite literally,
I've had it and it is.
I think that it is the best, to be quite honest with you, because I just trialed a bunch of coffee just a couple hours ago. And compared, it was all pretty much garbage, okay? But it's because of the way that we're trying to do it. That is very much a red water product, coffee. I mean, it's as saturated as anything gets.
Yes.
Okay? So what I've learned is I'm going to start working on other products, okay, that are not as saturated and share the same qualities as my coffee, okay? Extremely fresh, the best one that you can get. Taste, look, feel, all the things are on point. I'm going to then sell those products, which then will gain me the attention for my red water product that is the best, but is the hardest one to market because everybody has a coffee company now. So it's awesome to chat about it with you, because you speak into my world that I am currently working in as an entrepreneur. And I'm like living the description that you just made.
But so am I, in a whole different industry.
Yeah, right.
Right? Both on the legal side and the marketing side.
Sure.
I didn't invent those markets.
Right.
People have been in that space for a very long time. Some do amazing at it. Some do great because they are great. Some do great just because, you know, business is to be had, and others just fall very short. But how do you differentiate yourself? And I feel like getting your story out there is also critical.
It's the story.
Which kind of plays into the marketing and the branding.
And the passion.
And the passion.
Because I can be passionate about my story. And that is the key. Storytelling and having the passion behind it if it's a good story, which we got, and then you know that I'm passionate about it, I'm doing this every day until I don't, that's what will end up selling the product to the masses. So awesome chat.
Thanks for having me.
Come in, and we'll do it again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, John.
Thanks, bro. Did it.
All right, that was great.